Breakthrough moments are often the result of many previous actions, which build up the potential required to unleash a major change. In the early and middle stages of any quest, there is often a valley of disappointment. You expect to make progress in a linear fashion, and it's frustrating how ineffective changes seem during the first days, weeks, and even months. It doesn't feel like you're going anywhere. It's a hallmark of any compounding process. The most powerful outcomes are delayed. People make a few small changes, fail to see a tangible result, and decide to stop. Once this kind of thinking takes over, it's easy to let good habits fall by the wayside. But in order to make a meaningful difference, habits need to persist long enough to break through the plateau. Complaining about not achieving success despite working hard is like complaining about an ice cube not melting when you heated it from 25 to 31 degrees. Your work was not wasted, it's just being stored. All that action happens at 32 degrees. When you finally break through, people will call it an overnight success. The outside world only sees the most dramatic event rather than all that preceded it. But you know that it's the work you did long ago, when it seemed that you weren't making any progress, that makes the jump today possible. And that's a little excerpt from the book we went through earlier this year, Atomic Habits by James Clear. And the reason I read that, the reason I picked that up is last week we talked a lot about how do you know when to quit? What's the process of realizing, hey, this just isn't working and it's time to go? And you had some awesome stories and points that you made from your time where you eventually broke in and accomplished your dream playing the NFL. And those two questions, you know, where do I still love this? And is this keeping me from doing something else that I could be doing? Mm-hmm. And I thought that was such a simple yet powerful way to frame it. And I really did think it's like that could work in any scenario where I want to quit something. I can just sit down, and if I wanted to write it out, great. If not, at least think it through those two questions. Should I quit or should I continue going? And so I appreciate you sharing that. But it also got me thinking about, like I said, this Atomic Habits review and the breakthrough. Because again, it's easy to get caught up in this is never going to happen for me. And I've put all this work in and time and energy and effort, and I'm just not seeing results. And so I wanted to dive into that portion as a follow-up to last week's discussion. Okay, now I know that I want to keep going. I've thought through those two or three questions. I'm going to continue on. Now, how do I keep myself from getting too inundated with bad results or a lack of results?
Yeah.
And that's what I wanted to think about today and reflect on today is why it's so difficult, you know, because again, I mentioned this last week, but I have a tendency to let bad instances ruin or become bigger than they should. Mm-hmm. And so how do we keep ourselves from that negative mentality of, hey, the work's being put in and it's going to break through. At some point it's going to break through.
Yeah. No, I think it's a great follow-up topic, by the way. It's hard because we are a results-driven culture and society. Like everything is, what have you done? What have you done for me lately? Well, what I think that we've lost sight on is the experience, the knowledge, and specifically the wisdom that comes from those losses. I'm not saying, hey, everybody gets a trophy. It's okay if you lose as long as you tried your best. But it's really important to fail. Like it's really, really important to fail. Obviously, the more major failures you can avoid, the better. Mm-hmm. But sometimes those are the things that make our journey and our story successful in the end. Without that adversity, without those fails, without that less sexy things that don't talk about that just like lukewarm phase where it's like, okay, we're just stagnant. Like there's not much going on. And I'm trying everything I can to be different, to pivot, to hit a growth spurt. I mean, those are what they write books about. Those are what they make movies about. we get so wrapped up in the moment now, like it's got to happen now. It's got to happen now. If you're 32 out there, how much work life really do you think that you have in you? 20, 30, 35 years left? So half of your life is ahead of you, and probably 2 to 3x of your work life is ahead of you. So you're still in your adolescent ages when it comes to your work life. We so quickly, it's like, oh, I gotta, make X by the time I'm 35. I gotta make Y by the time I'm 40 because I gotta retire at 45. We were talking about it before the show. Hey, I want to be done. We keep this short-sighted vision of what success looks like when really the adversity and failures, those are what really build the foundation of a successful journey in whatever it is that you're doing. And so it's hard. Like, in just transparency, we're going through this, and Ben, I mean, you're carrying it a lot heavier than I am on the podcast. It's like, hey, what do we need to be doing different? Like, we've created something that we both believe in. We rebranded in the beginning of the year. We're hoping for this like electric, but that's just not reality, right? And you talk about the details and the habits that have to be consistent and outlast these ups and downs of victories and losses. But again, those losses are so important. We're going through a sermon series right now at my church. We're talking about it this week, and we were more specifically on marriage this week. But man, through this whole thing, if you go back and you look at history books and you look at the Bible, you look at all of these things that we learn from, and in reality, like the greatest heroes of history had massive, massive adversity that they had to go through. I mean, you look at Moses, right? Moses is someone that, really should have been dead because his mom literally just put him on a little floating basket down the river. Should have been dead, right? Then he was saved. Then he left and went to be with his people, the Hebrews, and should have been killed by the Pharaoh, right? I mean, there's all these things there. I mean, you look at David, you look at Jesus, holy smokes. I mean, you go through the Bible, and the people that we remember are the ones that have been through adversity and been through losses. So going through this series that we're doing at our church, it's like, it's hard. It's really hard. But it's like, man, sometimes I pray for adversity. It's like, teach me something, because I want to come out on the other side of this wiser and better and stronger and more resilient. And it's hard. It's really hard. It's really, really hard. But I just encourage people, if you are going through these either really difficult times, whether it be your marriage, whether it be your job, whether it be with your kids, whatever it is, something that you're just really struggling with and it's a really hard time, just know that it is temporary, and at the end of it, you will be, at the least, you will be wiser because of it.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. It's tough because as you go through difficult times, you're like, hey, do I just quit? But that's the foundation. I mean, think about, we had zero experience in the podcast space. Think about, here we are 2.5 years into it, and think about how much you know now because of all the hard times that we've just had to battle through on this podcast.
Yeah.
And so that is what those skills, those experiences, that wisdom is what creates brands, companies, individuals that have longevity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's delineating bad results with this isn't working. Being able to separate those two. And is this a bad result because I'm doing the wrong thing, or is this a bad result just because that's what happens and mistakes happen and you learn, you move on, you do better?
Yeah.
I think of early on in our business, our day job, and there's so many different examples or metaphors you can use. I've heard it's like a rocket ship. How much energy is pent up just to get the rocket off of the launch pad.
Yeah.
And then as soon as it's off that launch pad, then it, however many feet per second it goes, just like that. Or I've heard it described like a hockey stick. You're going along nice and, if you were to lay a hockey stick on the ground, you're going along, nothing's really happening, and all of a sudden something breaks and it just launches up at a massive angle in a positive direction. And so those are a couple things I think about early on in our business career. You're out cold calling and knocking on doors and getting doors slammed in your face, and you're wondering, is this even working?
Yeah.
Am I doing this for nothing? And then all of a sudden you look up 2, 3, 4, 5 years into the business and you're exactly where you hoped you would be one day. And and every year just seems to be getting better and better.
Yeah.
But it's not that the work that I put in March of 2022 has gotten me the best year of my career. It's the work I put in December 2017 when I didn't know my ass from my elbow and I was knocking on doors getting, rejected all day long. At the time, it looked like there's no way this is ever going to happen. How in the world am I going to get to that point? But I think back now and I'm like, maybe I didn't get a yes that day. Maybe I never got a yes those years. But all that time, all that energy, all that effort has culminated in 5 years later being where I want to be. And had I quit in 2018, June, when I wanted to, trust me, I wanted to. A year in, I was like, this is not for me.
Yeah.
Brand new business, don't know nothing. Everything in me was saying, dude, this isn't working. Go do something else. But I stayed on the path, and now I'm doing things I never thought possible in this business.
But what was it that kept you?
And that's what I was going. I think that to me is how you differentiate. This isn't working. I need to do something else, as opposed to just give it time.
Yeah.
And the way that I differentiate those two is, what have the people before me done? The people before me who are successful, who are where I want to be, tell me this is just part of it. Mm-hmm. This is what you have to do. This is what everybody before you has done who's been successful. This is what everybody after you, if they want to be successful, this is what they're going to do. So no, you're not going to get all the yeses you want to get in the moment. But I promise you it will work.
Yeah.
Just give it time. That's how I differentiate the two. If at the time, if I had no examples of knocking on doors and it being successful, if I had nothing to look to, then maybe I could have had the thoughts in my head, well, maybe this doesn't work. If nobody's proven this works before, then what am I doing out here?
Yeah.
But too many people had proven that this works.
Yeah.
And again, this is just an example I'm using, but I think you can translate that to anything. In your health and wellness. Too many people have proven that the way to lose weight and reach your goals is by doing X, Y, and Z. So for me to sit here and think at 2 weeks in, well, this isn't working for me, that's immature to think that way.
Yeah.
Because too many people have proven that it works if you stick with it.
Yeah.
So no, your results 2 weeks in aren't getting you where you want to go, but it's stacking those days upon days upon days over time.
Yeah, and you bring up a great point, because what was somewhat the underlying theme of your encouragement to keep pushing forward? We talk about it on the show a lot. We talk about community, right?
That's right.
Like, imagine if you isolated yourself and tried to do it, and you mentioned it. If you isolated yourself and tried to do what you did in 2017, there's no way, because you have no gauge.
No gauge.
You have one around community. You have mentors that can, hey, as you're walking around buildings, knocking on doors, here are some things that you can share. You don't have to carry all the weight. Just get them here. That's your job. 2 is, now you get to shadow those people who have been doing it, have found success. What are they doing that works? Okay, so there's that. And then 3 is, like you said, just mentoring. Like, hey, stick through it. Like, we're going to support you. We got you. It's going to take some time. I know it's frustrating. Like, just the emotional aspect of it, just being there for you. If you're to do all that absent of the benefits of community, it becomes really hard.
Yeah.
Really, really hard. Again, put that in any other scenario, on anything you're trying to take on. If you're trying to do fitness by yourself with no community, whether it's a coach, whether it's a friend, whether it's like a workout community gym class, whatever it is, doing that all on your own is really hard. It's like, frick, Is it supposed to feel like this? Yeah. Like just knowing that it's supposed to be this hard is encouraging. Like, okay, it's supposed to be like this. Good. Mm-hmm. Now I can do one more day. I can do another day. And so, and again, parenting, same deal. Like that's why Tiffany and I are really, really big on small groups, home groups. Like I've got a men's group, I've got a home group, because you actually get to go in and say, hey guys, I'm really struggling with this, or I'm having a hard time with this. Like, have any of you all experienced this? Well, not exactly, but this is, and like you learn and take things like our work community. We've got some guys in there that we lean on. This podcast, it's community for me that just helps encourage me in those times where I do feel isolated. Like I can bring that darkness into the light and actually talk about it and have some guidance on how to handle it. And honestly, I walk out like, you know what? Yeah, I can do this and it is going to be okay. And then it also, like, as I mentioned earlier, just the perspective of like the bigger picture, having that is talking to you, talking to Darren, talking to my buddies, is it's like, okay, all right, it isn't just about this one day, or it isn't just about this one project or this one bad relationship or this one, whatever it is. It's about the bigger picture. And if I continue I could, and I hate grinding. Like I used to use that like in an endearing, like positive term. I don't love grinding, but I keep showing up, keep showing up, keep showing up, because the people around me are encouraging me or walking alongside me or pulling me along sometimes when I don't want to. Like that's the power of community in this topic, I think.
Yeah. The breakthrough is coming, and it's not an obvious, punch you in the face moment every time. Sometimes it is, like getting drafted in the NFL. That's a breakthrough moment. It's very obvious. Yeah. But like I think about our business, my breakthrough wasn't super just out of the blue, nowhere. It was just a gradual breakthrough. Yeah. It didn't just happen overnight for me. Yeah. And one of my favorite resources for this mentality of just stacking good days after good days, and people have been there before, and that's how I know I'm heading in the right direction. One of my favorite tools for this and keeping myself in that right mentality is Andy Frisella's Power List. Yeah. And if you're not familiar with that, I don't remember what episode on his podcast he goes over, but essentially the idea is you write down 5 critical tasks you have to do that day that are going to take you closer to whatever goal it is. So whether it's a health goal, business goal, family goal, whatever it is, I've got to accomplish these 5 things. Of course, things are going to come up. Of course, other things are going to take priority, and there's other things I need to do. But if I can at least accomplish these 5 things that I know for a fact are going to take me closer to where I want to go, it's a good day. Yeah. It's a win in the scenario, and that's how he phrases it. If you can stack all those wins, 3, 4, 5 wins a week, and he said you do that week after week, month after month, year after year. If you continually do that, there is 0% chance you fail. If you don't quit and you do that week in, week out, there is 0% chance you'll fail.
Seems simple.
Seems simple, but not easy. So it's how do you get those wins? And so again, I think that's been a useful tool for me. I've really enjoyed that. I don't do it today. Like it's been a while since I've done it, but in times where it was hard to see the finish, it was hard to see the breakthrough, it was hard to see, is this ever going to happen? That's been a helpful tool for me. Yeah. Is writing out a list, and at least I know. I don't know when the breakthrough's coming. I have no idea when I'm going to get there, but at least I know I can do these 5 things. And that's all I have to focus my attention on.
Yeah. The power of that and power of writing down goals is it solidifies that goal. I think times that I get in trouble is times that I make up new goals every day that continue to move the finish line further and further away. Yeah. Like, look, focus on this goal. Right? And that's why, okay, hey, look, I've got a daily goal, I got a weekly goal, I got a monthly goal, I got an annual goal, and I got a 5-year goal or 3, whatever. But you pick these goals, and again, the encouragement in these tough times is you can go in and take score of, okay, where am I? On my annual goal, you know what? I'm actually halfway there. And it's been about a half a year. So like I'm actually doing better than I actually feel like I am. Yeah. Because sometimes being able to track your progress is important. But if you just are abstractly just like, oh, today I want to do this, or today I want to do this, or hey, I saw this dude on social media, he's doing this, or hey, I was at a business luncheon and that dude was doing this, and you're constantly changing your goals, you're just making it really hard on yourself. And you've got the the ADD of success paths. Like you just are like squirrel every other day, right? And it moves that goal so it feels like you're always failing because the finish line is always changing.
Yeah.
It's important to have those written down and know what you're working for. And if you don't, try to spend some time to figure that out. Get a workout in, go take some personal time, get those creative. We just did an episode on the importance of working out and mental health, and it does spark creative juices. Like if you were just doing to do and you don't have a goal in mind, it's going to be really hard to feel like you're gaining any ground on anything because you change directions every single day.
Yeah.
So just I love the power list. I'm a list guy. Like if I don't have a list, then I am here, there, all over the place. The list just allows me to be focused. And look, some people argue against lists. Some people say, hey, you got to do calendars. That should be your guide for the day. Or, hey, listing is just checking off every little thing so that you feel good about yourself. And you may not be actually accomplishing anything. Well, that's why you do a power list.
Yeah, the power list is different. Yeah, the power list is not a to-do list. It's a list of this action is going to just there's no other way that it can take me other than towards that goal.
That's right.
To your point, it puts it on a piece of paper, it makes it real, and it gives me some direction.
Yeah.
And so, again, if you're in that stage right now where you're unsure what the finish line looks like, where the finish line even is, my two biggest encouragements would be, number one, am I doing things that people have proven that are where I want to be? Am I doing things that they've done before me?
Yeah.
That's number one. That's what I would look at. And then number two, I would look at this power list.
Yeah.
And I would really get intentional about those tasks that you have to accomplish. And I think if you can do at least those two things, again, I can't sit here and tell you when it's going to happen, but as long as you don't quit and you can do those two things, you're heading in the right direction.
Yeah, I like it.
And it may be hard, and it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
It's not maybe hard. It's going to be hard.
Yeah.
You're going to want to quit. It's not like those things make you immune to that thought of I want to quit. It's just those two things give you the power to continue moving on.
Yeah. I think of, former guest that we had, James Lawrence, Iron Cowboy. And he's someone that put an unrealistic, almost unattainable goal out there, right? And he pursued it. He trained for it. First he did 50 triathlons in 50 states in 50 days, which is insane.
Yeah, doesn't even make sense.
Then he comes back and he does 100 in 100 days, right? But he knew exactly what he had to do. He had to get his swim in, he had to get his bike in, and he had to get his run in, like every day. And he's like, okay, I got one day closer to 100. I got another day closer to 100. On the opposition, and I know it's a fictional character, but I mean, so many life lessons from this guy. But Forrest Gump. Think about it. He just started running. He had no goal. He had no idea where he was going. He just kept running.
Yeah.
And then at some point, it's like, I got tired and I stopped because I didn't have anywhere to go. And so there's a very strong distinction between the two is, okay, hey, I've got a goal and I'm going to hit that goal. And then you know what? I'm going to get a well-deserved rest, as opposed to I'm just going to keep going and going and going. I feel like so many people these days are just chasing, running. They don't know exactly where they go, and they get to a point where like, tired. I have to stop because I don't have anything left. Because again, if that finish line continues to just move further and further away, that's just an exhausting life to live.
Yeah. So if you're in the middle of it right now, the breakthrough's coming. Don't know when, don't know how, don't know why, don't know what it looks like. But if you're doing these things, again, my recommendation is do things that people before you have done so that you know you're in the right direction. Get you a power list. If you can do those things and you never quit, the breakthrough's coming.
Why did you only say use the things that you said? What about the things that I said?
Because I blacked out every time you were talking.
I'm just thinking about what I'm going to say next when you start talking. It's a mental break for me.
I can drink some liquids while you talk.
But to that point, right, is create a list, create goals. I think it's really important to do that. But then also, too, the really hard times, shift your perspective. As opposed to it being losses and failures, think of it as learning experience and wisdom created, because you're going to be better equipped for future advantages going through these challenges right now. So just kind of flip that switch, and hopefully that's a little bit of an encouragement. If you're going through really tough times, is, hey, look, I'm going to be better because of this. It sucks and it's hard, but let me fight my way out of this tough position. And because of that, I'm going to have something that nobody else has, because nobody went through this experience and got out of it like I did.
That's right. That's right. Before we get out of here, speaking of great sleep.
Yeah, come on.
Not really speaking of great sleep at all, but when you're not
just Ben while I'm talking.
When you're not when you're not knocking on doors and getting told no, and you have to sleep, because everybody's got to sleep.
Yeah.
In fact, that's going to enhance your ability to knock on doors and get told
Crazy.
no. It might as well be on a Sleep Number bed.
Yeah, buddy.
So make sure you get to a Sleep Number store, sleepnumber.com. Best beds in the market, in the game. In the game, they're the Tesla of mattresses. This isn't your grandma's mattress anymore. Tons and tons of feedback and data. This replaces feelings with facts. Yeah. Have you heard of that? Facts over feelings? You heard that phrase before?
Yeah.
This replaces your feelings of how you slept with facts about how you slept.
Yeah.
So get yourself a Sleep Number bed. Also, another big announcement, which we've made the announcement about 1 million times
Breaking.
at this point. And at some point, we're going to get to November 13th.
Bro, we're already almost in Q4.
I can't believe it. Yeah, this is the last week of Q3.
November's going to be quick.
November's coming. So plan yourself a trip.
Yeah.
November, that's a Sunday. We play the Dallas Cowboys play the Green Bay Packers November 13th at 3:25 p.m. Tyler, Darren, and myself will be at Choctaw Casino Resort at the League, the sports bar up there. Get yourself up there. Again, come find us. If you're a subscriber and a listener to the podcast, and you can prove it with a review that you've left, Tyler's going to buy you around.
No. Here's how. Here's how you can prove it. Is my birthday is 4 days before that.
Okay.
If you come up and wish me a happy belated birthday, that will prove that you listen to the show, because I'm not going to see it on any other shows.
There you go.
There's going to be no other shows. We're not going to post it. We're not going to do anything. If you come up and wish me a happy belated birthday, that drink is on me.
That drink is on Tyler. I love it.
With the birthday money that Ben and Darren give me.
And then lastly, of course, our partner, Jocko Fuel. Again,
we got a fun one this week.
Yeah. So today's Thursday. This coming Sunday.
Saturday.
Well, this coming Sunday, we're recording.
This Saturday, because it's called Saturday Suffering.
This Sunday, we're recording it. It'll release the following Saturday. So it's Saturday Suffering. And we've got something up our sleeve that I think you guys will like. But yeah, Jocko Fuel. Love the brand. Love their mission. Yeah. More importantly, again, there's tons of other competitors out there, but what sticks out to us is the mission of Jocko Fuel.
That's right. And
creating American jobs, refeeding the local economy. So support yourself. Not only are you supporting us, but you're supporting yourself more importantly. Yeah. Get yourself to jockofuel.com. Get yourself to an H-E-B if you're here in Texas, or a vitamin shop, and go check out all their products that can help you become a better version of yourself.
That's right.
And give you the energy to go get rejected and told no. So anyway, appreciate you guys. Thank you for all the support. It's because of you we sit here and take time out of our schedules and do this. We love it. We love you guys and appreciate you. Have a great rest of your day, a great rest of your week, and we will see you next week.